From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at the SOR Vault, join the SOR Space Travelers Club, head over to We Read the Night and pick up a book, or hang out with Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities, helping make the world 10% happier by donating to Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. When it comes to ET contact, there are very few with the lineage of Kathleen Marden. The niece of Betty and Barney Hill, Kathleen is a leading UFO researcher, the author of several books, and an international lecturer. She earned her BA degree in social work and worked as an educator and education services coordinator while attending graduate school. Her interest in UFOs and contact began in 1961 when her aunt and uncle had a close encounter and subsequent abduction experience in New Hampshire's White Mountains. She has been MUFON's Director of Experiencer Research since 2011 and is on the board of directors for the late Edgar Mitchell's Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial and Extraordinary Encounters, otherwise known as FREE. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire. Kathleen Martin, it is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio. I know it's late where you are, but I know our fans are going to be very thankful for you. How have you been?
I've been doing well, thank you, and it's great to be on your show again. I have a little bit of energy. I went to bed early and set the alarm clock, and now I'm up. It's a little after midnight here in Florida.
Well, you know what? We are so glad that you are with us, Kathleen. And the way the UFO world has really jumped into almost hyperspeed, pun intended, the last 24 months, how have you been able to keep up with everything?
Well, I don't know if I have been able to keep up with everything, but I've tried very hard. I have been traveling a great deal to conferences and was gone most of the time between June and last week. And so I have had the opportunity to discuss what is going on with many people. Many people have filled me in on things that I might have lagged behind on, but I do the best I can to stay abreast with the field.
With so many different avenues and so many people now taking an interest in this field, never mind the last couple of years, but even more recently, how has this field changed so quickly in your eyes?
Well, I think that a lot of it has changed because Tom DeLonge, according to his own testimony, said that he went to the military with a proposal, and that proposal was that he would help them out. He said that most people know that they have been lying for the past 70 years, and he had a plan that would make them look good and be able to tell the truth in a limited and way. And, of course, we know from the history of government involvement in the investigation of UFOs, over the past 70 years or so, they have released some information, and then they gauge the public's reaction. And if they see public hysteria, then they retract what they said. And the lid closes shut, and they invent a cover story for what it was. So I've been hopeful over the past several months because as the To the Stars Academy people say, they are giving the information with permission, and the rest of us give the information without permission. So we've been giving it a lot longer than they have, but I'm really happy that with the show that they have had on television, I've been able to see it 2 or 3 times, and I was impressed with the accuracy of what they're showing, and I was very happy with the naval pilots who have come forward with their own testimony. And, these are highly credible people. And so, and well-educated, too. They have everything to lose and nothing to gain by telling this story. I'm talking about the military pilots. Certainly Tom DeLonge has a financial interest in To the Stars Academy and is planning to make money from it. But I am hopeful. I kind of get a kick out of their view of everything as being focused entirely upon the craft itself, and they don't even want to think about what is inside the craft. And I've noticed that people who might be somehow peripherally connected are always talking about the AI, artificial intelligence, the intelligent robots that must be operating these craft. But anyone who has actually met them and been on board with them knows that there are some sentient beings on that craft. There are others that might be intelligent robots. Either that or they take orders well and just stand up against a wall unless they're told to do something. But I know for a fact there are sentient beings on that craft.
Kathleen, you are probably one of the most premier and educated voices when it comes to the experiencer, UFOs, and the entire disclosure movement. You have been able to hang out and research with some of the best in this business, if not the best in this business. When you hear of groups like To the Stars or other groups who are promoting a very, very dark agenda of the extraterrestrials, quoting Tom DeLonge, going back on Joe Rogan back in 2017, where he said all aliens are evil and we need to put nuclear weapons up in space to protect ourselves ASAP. Now, I'm paraphrasing. And then he tries to go and buy the statistics of the free experiencers that you are a part of, where the statistics of the over 4,000 people who took your stats, your test, myself included, said that 84% had positive experiences, and I believe 82% would like it to happen again. Where are we missing the boat here on the huge differences of opinion?
There certainly are huge differences of opinion, and even in MUFON study that Dr. Don C. Donderi and some members of my team and I conducted over a 3-year period, 71% said that they wouldn't want it to stop. And we had a psychological measure that was developed to determine who had UFO abduction syndrome. And 75% of that group said that they did not want their experiences to end. Only about 10% said that they had ever been in contact with evil entities. So, I mean, if they want to put weapons in space for the 10% and let the other 90% through, I suppose that's okay. But I don't like the idea that they want to engage in warfare with kind and benevolent entities who are here to assist in our development, even though they do have to do some things such as collecting DNA from humans. For the most part, I view it as being beneficial and benevolent. And, their technology is so advanced that if we start shooting weapons at them, I fear that we could end up like Mars. 2 thermonuclear explosions occurred on Mars a few million years ago, and look at the surface of Mars now. All life that existed there is gone, as far as we know.
Yes, I fully understand with what you're saying. As a part of Free and a part of MUFON, who is the director of experiencers, what was your thoughts when you heard DeLong make those comments on Joe Rogan and then tried to financially buy the statistics from Free? Now, in my opinion, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I think that if he bought them, it would have affected the entire agenda, as we've seen kind of an agenda movement here, and they would have been lost forever.
Well, that could have very well happened. I mean, the statistics are there for anyone to see. So it's obvious that his interest in buying them was to suppress those statistics. But according to Lou Elizondo, the remainder of that committee does not hold the same opinion that Tom DeLong holds. So that's a breath of fresh air to me. I was pleased with that. But I strongly disagree with Tom DeLong's belligerent and warlike opinion.
Well, the problem with that, but here's the other thing, too, and the other part that we bring up on this show, and it has been brought up a number of times, Kathleen, is the fact that back in 1992, government officials told Stephen Greer a number of things about how benevolent alien species were. And now you fast forward to 2017, where Tom says his government military sources are saying all ETs are bad. So is this just one big game that the government is playing to try and trick the sides of those on the outside like us and our listeners?
Well, maybe this was a selective group who talked to Tom DeLong. There are people in the Pentagon, there are people in the military who are fundamentalist Christians who have the religious belief that all non-humans are demons, that they are not extraterrestrials coming to this planet, that they are indeed demonic. And it's really too bad that we have such ignorant people who are making decisions for our nation. It's time that these people look at the statistics there and our work in MUFON and in Free, and they would come out with a different opinion unless they are so firmly planted in their fundamentalist Christian beliefs that it won't allow them to they could actually accept the possibility that there might be extra-dimensional,
Kathleen, we're having a little bit of phone cut out there on you, on your
my
end.
Good.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
There you're back.
You know what? I
Good.
hit the wire. I bet that is the problem. So
That's
did
okay.
you hear what I said?
No, could you repeat what you said there? Probably the last 10 seconds or so.
Yes, I said it would just be a huge shame if these fundamentalist Christian military people who are making decisions for the rest of us are so locked into a belief system that they cannot see beyond that and accept the fact that there could be interdimensionals and extraterrestrials visiting our planet.
So when the To the Stars Academy then comes out and tries to really segregate ETs from these craft known now as unidentified aerial phenomena, to the experiencers out there, myself included, it seems like a little bit of a slap in the face.
Let me give you a little bit of history on that. Let's back up to 1952, when UFOs were seen over the U.S. Capitol. And the military pilots were scrambled to chase after these things. They had them on radar. There were visual sightings. And this went on for several nights. Well, there was a press conference at the Pentagon. It was the largest press conference that they had had since the end of World War II. And Major General John Alexander Samford said that the only thing that this could be that had these characteristics was phenomena. And that was the beginning of the cover-up to label these technologically advanced mechanical craft as only being phenomena, like Foo Fighters during World War II. If it's phenomena, it doesn't have to contain anything. It could be atmospheric phenomena. You know, it really was part of a cover-up, and I do not like the word phenomena being used when we're describing something that is a structured craft. And the government knew way back in the late 40s that these craft were structured craft that could outfly and outmaneuver anything that we had on this planet. And they suppressed that information for many, many years. And now a little information is coming out, but there is the opportunity for more suppression by calling it phenomena.
Do you think the reason why they are not talking about the fact that these craft may have an extraterrestrial presence on them is because of the fear-mongering that will happen along with that? I mean, there is a vast section of not only the United States and Canada, but the rest of the world that will literally think Armageddon is on its way.
Well, that happened back in 1947 when Kenneth Arnold had his sighting. And, ministers started telling their parishes that that it was the signal of the end of the earth. And there was public hysteria. So I believe that could be part of the agenda. They simply do not want to acknowledge that they are sentient beings on these craft. If anyone speaks about it at all, artificial intelligence is suggested, but they certainly don't want to think that there are actually living, thinking beings on these craft, and that they have the ability to go anywhere on this planet and to have contact with any humans they want to have contact with impunity. And I know military men have talked to me, and they said, you have it right. That is the big problem, that the abduction phenomenon is what has prevented all of this from being discussed in public.
Do you believe, or do you have any knowledge that areas of the United States government or some of its alphabet agencies have a list, like a master list of those who have been taken?
I can only tell you this. A military man that I was talking to said to me, "You're an abductee, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "How many times have you been taken?" And I said, "Many." And he shook his head and looked at me knowingly and said, "We know a lot more than you think we do." That was a shock.
That is scary.
Yes.
Do you think that would be part of a MyLab or MK Ultra experience, or do you think that there is some sort of Eisenhower-type created treaty that the aliens let the U.S. government know who's been taken and who hasn't?
I don't know how they're tracking experiencers. I have never had a MyLab or an MK Ultra experience. My experiences have been kind of like Betty's and Barney's. But, my mother was also an experiencer, and I know that they can track anything that comes in and out of our atmosphere. They're probably tracking the UFOs and seeing where they stop briefly, and then where they go to and where they go back to. But no one knows this for certain. That's just my speculation.
But to have that said to you face to face without an emotion in his face, that had to be, in about 30 seconds, that had to be kind of like a setback, almost a little traumatic for you.
Well, it was shocking. I have to say it was shocking. And at that point, very, very few people knew that I was an experiencer, too. I had kept that information confidential for many, many years.
Well, I'm glad you shared it here. Maybe I'm the only one who's asked you that. I don't know. But
no, you're not. I used to deny it, and I hate to lie. I'm a person who feels terrible if I have to lie. And
right.
Finally, I turned 70 years old, and I said, I'm going to tell the truth. I don't care about what anyone thinks. I don't care about the consequences. I'm going to tell the truth.
Awesome. More Spaced Out Radio with Kathleen Marden right after this.
Hey, space travelers. This is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Themer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd Psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a Space Traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. Reminder, if you've missed a little bit of this show so far, you can always check back on our archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our archives are free for you. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. It's updated daily. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, or We Read the Night. That's where you can pick up a great book. And don't forget to sign up for the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is only $5 a month. Kathleen Martin is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're talking everything UFO and aliens. Why not? It's my favorite topic to speak about. And her website, Kathleen-Marden.com, if you want to check that out. Highly suggest you do. Kathleen, welcome back.
Oh, thanks. It's great to be back.
In regards to the controversy that we were talking about right before the break, which was maybe, just maybe, there are elements of the U.S. government or some alphabet agency that knows who is actually being taken. Do you believe that this is part of an overall cover-up to control the narrative from the public that has been so naive on this topic to this date?
Absolutely. We are defenseless with regard to extraterrestrial visitors. They have come here. They're able to get here. They have technology that we can only dream of. Some of their technology is so unbelievable that it looks like magic. It's that sufficiently advanced. So we are defenseless. And there are certain individuals who have very strong opinions about controlling this planet and our autonomy, and also, as I said earlier, very strong religious beliefs that reject the idea that anything could possibly come to our planet from another planet. We also have scientists who reject that idea, too. I was on a panel discussion with Seth Shostak earlier this summer, and I couldn't believe that he would simply reject the idea. But he explained that he's not willing to accept it because it is not possible within our own scientific principles. And so I guess he would only accept it if we develop sufficiently to have technology that will travel into space safely, and that's that for him. So it's kind of, I don't know, I don't understand people who think that way, that they're so left-brained that they cannot accept anything that there is sufficient evidence for. I mean, in my opinion, we have a lot of evidence. We have scientific evidence, and we've collected it over many, many years. So, but some people just, I suppose, want to hide their heads in the sand. They don't want to acknowledge that it's happening. They have religious concerns. They have concerns about public hysteria. And so it's just a lot easier to ignore it.
What do you think about the announcement? I know you're a little new to this, but the announcement that we're all a little bit shocked about today, that the To the Stars Academy has signed a deal, so to speak, with the United States Army Combat Capabilities Development Command to advance TTSA's materiel and technology innovations in order to develop and enhance capabilities for Army ground vehicles. Does that have anything to do with UFOs?
It must. It certainly, if TTSA has the meta materials that would make ground vehicles impenetrable from bullets, from bombs. That would be a very good thing for the Army. So I can imagine that if they have advanced technology that will increase our technical capabilities, it would certainly be welcome.
Are you surprised that apparently there is no financial transaction in this contract? Because usually any type of contract involves money, especially when you get into the millions.
Yes, I am very surprised that supposedly there is no financial contract. You know, I think it's Robert Bigelow who was storing these materials, and they're pretty sophisticated. I was reading up on the metamaterial, and it is, I read that it's woven strands, and each strand is 1,000 times smaller than a human hair. And then they're interwoven, and they're put in layers with kind of a honeycomb in between, and they still remain very, very thin and very light. That is pretty amazing to me. What a development that would be. And certainly people could make a great deal of money. So maybe the To the Stars Academy isn't getting paid for that information, but somebody probably is getting paid down the line.
Why do you think so many people fret or are hesitant to tie Robert Bigelow to the Stars Academy?
I don't know why. He certainly received a lot of the money that the ATIP program released, and he used the beginning money to investigate the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, and that was a very good investigation. I've worked on a similar case, and it's really incredible that there are so many things going on with portals, with time slips where prehistoric animals are walking around, like that primitive wolf who was at the ranch, the Skinwalker Ranch, and the other paranormal things. It's all interrelated. And Bob Bigelow has the intelligence and the curiosity to pursue this, to find the answers. And he's extremely wealthy, too. So, we do know that he received a lot of money, and he probably used some of that technology in the development of these space pods that he's developed that can be put on places like the moon and Mars, so that they will expand, and there'll be sort of a base of sorts eventually, and then we'll be able to hop, from maybe the moon to Mars to elsewhere as we go further and further into space. So I know that Stanton Friedman had a great deal of respect for Bob Bigelow. He didn't think of him as a bad guy, and he convinced me that he's not a bad guy, that he is just doing what he does in his business extremely well, with a great deal of curiosity.
Yet for a lot of people out there, they haven't tied to the fact or refused to mention that the majority of the TTSA staff are former Bigelow employees one way or another, whether it's NIDS, whether it's Bass, whether it's Skinwalker Ranch.
Yes, some of them are. Mm-hmm. Some of them are. So I suspect that when the government officials and military struck a deal with Tom DeLonge, they selected some of the people who are going to go on to Tom's 10 people who have extremely outstanding credentials as scientists, as people who worked on remote viewing, people who were high up in the CIA, people who held very high positions in government, in intelligence, and in science. So there are some incredibly outstanding people there, and even one woman who is both a lawyer and a scientist.
Kathleen Martin is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Kathleen, in regards to how all of this secrecy is kind of playing out with UAPs, UFOs, whatever you want to call them these days, do you think this is all tied to the new space race, where whether it's Bigelow, whether it's Elon Musk, or whether it's Virgin Galactic, do you believe that this is all tied to trying to get more interest in outer space so we can start to move off this planet in eventually a number of decades?
Yes, I do think that there is interest in doing that. You have to consider the idea that this planet is in trouble. The ETs have been warning about this since 1954, and they're continuing to give warnings to experiencers that thermonuclear weapons could cause an environmental collapse, that the thermonuclear weapons cause problems with the Earth's magnetic field, with the fault lines, and that they also cause a problem with going out into the universe to these other beings. Now, I had a big problem with that initially back when I used to be a materials scientist only, and I wasn't looking at the other part of it, wasn't using my right brain, and we have to realize that statement would mean that we must live in a multi-dimensional universe, because only if we live in a multi-dimensional universe with collapsing of the Earth's magnetic fields due to thermonuclear weapons impact these non-humans. So that's one thing. Also, we're on the verge of an environmental collapse. We've been given warnings for a very long time now, and books have been written for probably 50 years. And the people who benefited from not being good stewards to our environment and convinced all humans that they didn't need to be, have caused serious problems with our climate. And that is something else that these extraterrestrials are very concerned about. So we should be concerned as well, and that could be one reason why we want to move out into space and set up a habitat on the moon or on Mars or elsewhere, because this planet may not be around forever. I mean, the planet itself could be, but in terms of providing the kind of environment that we need to live on this planet, there could be a problem.
Do you think that they are maybe trying to hide or suppress this ET technology by trying to develop these programs that are trying to get us back to the moon or even to the International Space Station again?
Well, I don't think they're going to say we're going to do this because the ETs have said this to me or something like that. But you know, I really don't know the answer to that question. I can't even speculate on it.
All right. Moving on here, in regards to then the sightings that people are having within the United States Navy. They have been very, very open about that. We have talked to Gary Voorhees on this show. We tried to get Kevin Day. He was going to come on with Gary. That didn't seem to pan out. But there are a number of people who have stood up and said, look, this event is real. It is happening. We're seeing more and more of that out of the United States Navy. With the To the Stars Academy now signing this deal today with the U.S. Army, does this now throw the Army, in your opinion, and the soldiers and the people involved with the Army into the disclosure debate?
It could possibly, but the Army, if you remember, was involved way back in 1947, because in July of 1947, the Air Force had not split from the Army. That happened in September of 1947. So, you know, the Army are a good group of people, in my opinion. I have friends in the Army, and I don't see that as being a huge problem.
I'm just wondering, because when the Navy came out and said, yeah, we're investigating this, and then they tried to throw the United States Air Force under the bus to get them involved, the Air Force denied it, and now we have the Army now involved with the To the Stars Academy. I'm just wondering if this is a start of all the branches of the military coming forward and saying, this is real. Our soldiers are dealing with this almost on a daily basis or weekly basis or monthly basis, whatever it may be. And when you have the most powerful force in the world saying this, it has a little bit of pull around the planet.
You might be right. The Army has had the official policy that they have not commented on UFOs, on an alien presence on our planet in many, many years. And so, you know, it could be that the Army is now going to come in and do what you said, but again, that's speculation. I don't know.
But isn't that all we have, Kathleen, right now? Speculation?
Well, when we're talking about what the To the Stars Academy might do in the future, but there are many things in this field that are not speculative, and that's what I tend to focus most on.
The people who are experienced that you have talked to, maybe they're not in the public eye, maybe they're not part of MUFON or free, just everyday Joe and Jill citizen. What is their reaction that you have heard from the people of the silent majority who have been following what is going on with ufology these days? What are they saying?
You know, it was pretty discouraging to me because I was speaking at a conference in Exeter, New Hampshire over Labor Day weekend, and I grew up near Exeter, so I go there every year to speak at their conference, since it's my hometown. And I did talk about the To the Stars Academy and about the ATIP program. And I said, tell me, how many people in this audience are aware of what is going on here? And how many of you actually read the front page of the New York Times or heard about what was on the front page of the New York Times on December 16, 2017, when the ATIP program was finally revealed, and they were talking about Luis Elizondo. And only 2 hands out of about 250 people went up. I was amazed that the public knows so little. And this conference tends to draw the general public as opposed to a lot of ufologists, because it covers a very small area generally of New Hampshire, Maine, and Massachusetts.
Why do you think people are so naive about it? If they're experiencers, wouldn't they want to know, or are they just trying to...
Oh, I thought you were talking about the general public. The general public.
Well, the general public or the experiencers. Let's talk about the experiencers then.
Okay, the experiencers have not discussed that with me. So
that's surprising.
What I've heard and read on the internet among researchers is that there are 2 sides. One side is hopeful that this is going to be something good and that advances will be made, and the other side is trying to throw a blanket over all of it, to suggest that people like Lou Elizondo never really had the position that he says he has. So there's a lot of skepticism and that sort of thing that is being thrown into this too. Maybe it's not real, that kind of thing. And I'm not a conspiracy buff. I get impatient with conspiracy theorists, and so I'm more scientifically oriented, particularly pertaining to social science. But I also have a history of collecting physical evidence and having it analyzed.
We only got about 30 seconds here before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. I'm very excited in the next hour to talk to you about your life, your professional relationship with Stanton Friedman, who has been such a giant loss on the UFO community this year. And, you wrote a number of books with him, and I'm so excited to go down this path and hear what you have to say. I'm just looking forward to giving you the freedom to just babble away about such a great, great man and researcher.
I would be delighted. I always enjoy reminiscing about Stanton.
Well, we will do that in hour number 2. Kathleen Marden is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. She's part of MUFON. She's part of the Free Experiencers. Her website, Kathleen-Marden.com. More Spaced Out Radio with hour 2 coming up.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey Spaced Out Radio fans, it's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from dance to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother is watching.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Hi to everyone listening in on KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon. Down in Ridgecrest, California, KZFX 93.7 FM. Hi, Chuck. I know you're listening in. You got a great mustache, buddy. WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And down in Dangerfield, Texas, KDNF AM 1560. On the digital side, we're proud to broadcast on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Don't forget, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Obeliskolchny. What the hell is this, Clam? Obeliskolchny? I don't know. Sounds Russian, but the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. You can pick up a great book at We Read the Night. And, of course, you can also sign up for the SOR Space Travelers Club. It's $5 a month. We're going to have some very, very good things happening there, but the archives will stay free, and Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire is updated daily. Kathleen Martin is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. She's got a brand new book out called Extraterrestrial Contact. You're definitely going to want to check that out because she is very, very talented. And for a lot of the books that she has written, they were co-written with the late, great Stanton Friedman. Kathleen had an incredible business relationship and friendship with Stanton, and we're going to talk to her about that right now. Kathleen, welcome back.
Oh, thanks. Nice to be back, and I'll be happy to speak about Stanton.
What was your friendship like?
Well, it grew over a number of years. And we became incredibly good friends. I felt like I could tell him anything, and he would give me an honest opinion. And I think he felt that way about me, too. So we often asked one another's opinion. We always sent email messages to one another at least twice a day. We talked on the phone about once a week, and we did a lot of very good work together. So
over the years that you got to know him on a personal level, that 99% of the UFO population had no clue of, what kind of man was he like?
Stanton was very outstanding, in my opinion, as a person. He was highly intelligent. He was a very good moral fiber. He would tell the truth and really, in a way, cared about how he was perceived by the public, even though, of course, didn't seem he cared that much when he was arguing and debating debunkers. And in the field that he chose, he was a very caring person. When Stanton died, I received on my Facebook page dozens upon dozens of comments from people who told me that Stanton always had time for them, that maybe they had a UFO sighting. And even though he was a very busy man, he made time to write to them. He didn't just ignore their email messages, or he even talked to some of them over the phone, and he was always happy to talk to anyone who came to our vendor table at UFO conferences. Stanton was Jewish and raised in a kosher household by a domineering mother and a father who worked at a factory. They didn't have a lot of money. They lived in a situation with an extended family. And Stanton was a good boy growing up. He never really did anything wrong. He was always trying to please his parents and do the right thing in his studies at the synagogue, at school. He was so bright that he skipped a couple of grades, moved up into the same grade as his older brother. I used to like to kid Stanton and tell him that he dethroned his older brother. And I think he didn't know quite what to say about that, but that was my background in psychology speaking. So he finished high school and started college when he was 16 years old. He'd been accepted to MIT, but coming from a working-class family, the money was not there for him to go, despite some scholarships that he had. So he ended up going to Rutgers for a year, and then he transferred to the University of Chicago. He had graduated valedictorian of his high school class. And, some people will think that Stanton was probably a nerd, but I don't think he was that big a nerd, because he told me about how he enjoyed playing basketball, intramural basketball. He was on the debating team for 3 years and was very successful at that. But he also acted in school play during his last year of high school. He was a hard worker. Coming from a working-class family, he wasn't afraid to work. And in order to save money, he would go to the Catskills over the summer, and he'd work in a restaurant as a waiter. It was a place that Jewish families often frequented, so he was very comfortable. He always told a story about how he, being a waiter and having never taken a lobster out of its shell, he was asked by one of the couples that he was serving if he would take the lobster out of the shell for them. And he just didn't even know where to start. And one of the older, more experienced waiters saw the dilemma that he was in and came over to his rescue and did that for him. But he learned from it, and after that he was able to do it. So, no matter what it was, he was always learning, and he was always happy and getting along with everyone, regardless of their station in life. The dishwasher, the salad prep person, the waiters, no matter what it was, as long as they were nice people, he enjoyed talking with them. He was a very gregarious kind of person. At the University of Chicago, he worked as a dishwasher at a fraternity that he was a member of for a few years. And then he was in graduate school, and it was just taking up too much of his time. He really needed more time to study. He was afraid that his grades were going to slide. So his uncle arranged for him to move into a room with a woman that his uncle knew. And this woman had gotten divorced and had a little boy. So Stanton moved in and lived there and was helping out around the house. And the little boy started to call him Daddy. And Stanton's heart melted. And he fell in love with that woman, even though she was considerably older than him. And he married her. And, you know, that's probably the real reason why he didn't go on for his doctorate. He had a family to support now. And he wanted to get out, and he wanted to work in industry. And so that's what he did. And he and his wife adopted 2 more children. And all of these children had disabilities. And they raised them, and they had to move frequently. Stanton would work for a few years on a government contract, and then the government contract would end, because he was a nuclear physicist. And, for example, he was developing a nuclear rocket and working on the development of a nuclear airplane, that kind of thing. But the consequences of a crash would be too great to risk. And so the project would be canceled. And so Stanton would then have to find another job, move his family to another place, and it was very difficult to do with those children. His adopted son had hemophilia, and you had to find very specialized doctors to take care of that. And his son would be in great pain, and Stanton would have to take him to the hospital and meet the doctor for transfusions. And it was just a terrible misery for Stanton's poor little son. And can imagine the pain that Stan went through experiencing that. He adopted a daughter who was deaf, and that little boy who was calling him Daddy was blind. So Stanton raised those children, and he eventually ended up in California, where he was working under Dr. Robert Wood, who is on MUFON's board of directors, I believe, and they were working on UFO technology. Stanton's job was, he'd read all of these books, he had all of this knowledge, now he had to try to work on UFO technology. But again, the government contract was canceled not long after he moved his family to California. He has a new house, he's settled, he's found the doctors, and he has something like 6 months to work. And this is when he decided that he would bill himself as the flying saucer physicist to colleges, to the American Nuclear Society, to any scientific group who wanted to hear him speak. And he really got his start by driving from college to college. And colleges pay quite well. It's usually the student union or the student body government who sponsors this kind of thing. And so he found that he was able to support his family by doing this. And he had the curiosity to do a great deal of research. You might be familiar with the story Stanton always told about how at one of his lectures he was talking about, or he had heard about a possible Roswell crash in 1947. And he said, if anybody knows this major Jesse Marcel, Will you please let me know, or any more information about the crash? And a man came up from the audience and said, Major Jesse Marcel is a ham radio buddy of mine, and here's the contact information. So Stan gave him a call, and that was the beginning of Stanton's investigation of the Roswell crash in 1947. Within a year's time, Stan had already interviewed about 50 first and second-hand witnesses to the crash, and, of course, Major Marcel. So he had done a great deal of research. Back in those days, there were grants available to do this kind of research. So Stanton would apply for a grant, it would be granted, and he would be able to do whatever research he needed to do. And so that was very helpful to Stanton at the beginning of his career as a UFO investigator and researcher. He met my aunt and uncle shortly before my Uncle Barney died. He died in February of 1969. And Stanton was at that point living, I think it was in maybe Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And Stan received a phone call. He'd been on a radio show, and the host on the radio show had said, Betty and Barney Hill are in town to do a television program, and I can tell you where they are staying if you would like to get in touch with them. So, it shows how trustworthy Stanton was. He wasn't going to exploit them or harass them or anything else. He called them and invited them to have dinner with him. And they all had dinner together. And he talked about how favorably impressed he was by Betty and Barney and what stand-up people they were, how they were consistent in this story and not attempting to inflate it whatsoever. They were very interested in what had happened and looking to find more answers to their questions. So Stanton was impressed, and I'm glad that he had the opportunity to meet Barney before he died in February of 1969. Stanton did many things. He became very interested in MJ-12. He visited, I believe it was something like 50 archival collections over his lifetime. He and I visited 3 archival collections together, and it was really a joy to work with him on archival research. He told me that if he had his choice, he would spend all of his time doing archival research. That's really where the good information is. You can find incredibly interesting information in the correspondence files of individuals who were involved in the investigation of UFOs and also in the government disinformants. I got a lot of information doing that research and made several trips to the American Philosophical Society in Philadelphia. Stanton was supposed to go on the second trip with me, but he unfortunately had a heart attack, and he had to call off everything he had planned for that entire month. We were going to work 2 conferences together and wedge this trip to Philadelphia in between. And it was not to be, but I took my husband along with me to try to help me. He was not the archivist, the researcher that Stanton was, so I ended up doing a lot of it myself while my husband went sightseeing. I was really happy when Stanton was back there with me a couple of years later to do several days of research as well. So, and that culminated in our book, Fact, Fiction, and Flying. View Dr. Menzel's files. And Stanton was very interested in him because he was listed as a member of MJ-12. And Stanton wondered, how could he have been a member of MJ-12 when he was one of the biggest debunkers on the UFO topic? Stanton talked to people who knew Donald Menzel, and he was told that he had the personality where he would have loved that kind of thing. He was doodling aliens and UFOs all the time, and had done some funny things with them, and probably would have enjoyed deceiving the public about that topic. And so Stanton did get permission. He went to the Harvard archives, and as he was going through them, he found a letter from John F. Kennedy before Kennedy was president. And the letter back from Donald Menzel said, I can speak to you more on this topic when we are properly cleared to one another. And Stanton would say, what? What's that mean, when we are properly cleared to one another? Stanton dug deeper and found out that Donald Menzel had had a very, very long relationship with naval intelligence and then the NSA, the National Security Agency. And that was a huge find for Stanton. Stanton had always wanted to write about Donald Menzel and what he knew about him, so he did that, Fact, Fiction, and Flying Saucers. So, as our work progressed, I sort of jumped ahead of myself after we wrote Captured together. We got along so well together, it was sort of like clockwork, and he said, would you like to write another book? He had an idea for a book called It's Impossible, Isn't It? And he wanted to write a science book about the history of science and how some very intelligent, well-educated scientists with political connections.
Kathleen, I'm going to cut you off right there because we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Kathleen Marden, her new book, Extraterrestrial Contact, What to Do When You've Been Abducted, it is in bookstores now. More Spaced Out Radio after this.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there. You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Themer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight, a show that's flying by. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have you with us. Reminder to all of you, if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where you can read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, rock out to Bumblefoot. Sign up for the SOR Space Travelers Club. It's just $5 a month. We're going to have some fun in there soon. And, of course, you could get a new book on We Read the Night, along with heading over to the SOR Vault, picking up yourself a T-shirt, hat, hoodie, socks. I think there's socks there. I'm going to check that out. Pillows. I know there's pillows. Get yourself a nice Spaced Out Radio pillow. It's comfy. Ask Kevin. Kathleen Martin is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, and we have the privilege of just having her go back in time to talk about the late, great Stanton Friedman, who is one of her best friends and colleagues in this field. Kathleen's website is kathleen-marden.com. She's got a brand new book out as well called Extraterrestrial Contact, What to Do When You've Been Abducted. Oh, we could talk about that, and we're going to do so at the top of hour number 3 as well. Kathleen, welcome back.
Thank you. So I was talking about Stanton and my work with him. You know, I think I met Stanton early on when he was involved in the star map investigation, my Aunt Betty Hill's star map. And she had introduced me to him, and I really admired him. I would attend conferences just because he was one of the speakers, and he was so credible and did such a great job explaining everything and backed it up with his slides. He used old-fashioned slides for years and years and years. He had a hard time moving over to PowerPoint, but he was finally shamed into it by Paula Harris when she told him, no slides allowed at this conference. If you're going to speak here, you use PowerPoint. So he had to change his ways, but he always thought that the slides projected better on screen than PowerPoints. He told me. So I had written the first manuscript for Captured, and I wanted some help. Actually, I'd spent 14 years doing the research, the investigation, interviewing anyone who was still alive who had investigated that case, getting all of the Air Force records and everything I could find. And so I approached Stanton at a conference because he was the person who had investigated the star map. He had met with Marjorie Fish, who did the scientific investigation to identify the stars on Betty's map, and Coral Lorenzen from the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization had asked Stanton if he would meet with Marjorie, and if he approved of her work, then would he please find scientists who were willing to vet her work, because she was having no luck on that score. And he did find 3 scientists who vetted Marjorie's work, and they said that it was accurate. And then he was the first to write a magazine article about Marjorie's work, and he went on to speak about it, to defend it, to debate with skeptics, and so on and so forth. I didn't want to begin the research that it would take to write a couple of chapters in my book. Those were the chapters on the star map and on the disinformants, disbelievers and disinformants is what I'd titled it. So I was at the MUFON Symposium. It was 2005. It was in Denver, Colorado, and I had attempted to approach Stanton during every break. And there were always a circle of tall men around him engaged in lively conversation, and I thought I would never be able to get a word in edgewise. I might as well give up on it. And at the end of the day came, and I said, oh, what the heck, I'll give it one last try. And I went to his table, and he was just packing up the last few books that he had, that he hadn't sold. And I told him that I had a manuscript. It was written in first person, and that I was interested in wanting to know whether or not he'd be interested in joining me on that book to write as much as he could. And he said, well, have you had dinner yet? And I said, no. And he said, well, let's go have dinner together. And we did, and we talked for hours. And he promised me at that time that he had an interest in this, but before he would make a decision, he would have to see Betty's collection, which I had. I'm the trustee of her estate. And would have to read my manuscript and talk to me more. Well, by November of that year, I still hadn't heard from him. And so I was beginning to get a little worried. And so I decided to get in touch with him. I gave him a call on the phone, and he said, I'll come down this weekend. I have the weekend off. And he drove all the way from New Brunswick to my house in Stratham, New Hampshire. And we spent a long weekend, probably 4 days, going through Betty's entire collection, talking for hours. He wanted to know my view of material science. That was one of the questions he had for me that I remember. And we talked about what I knew about the Hill case, what I'd learned, what I had in my manuscript. He took the manuscript home, and he read it. And he said to me, I'm going to join you in this project because you're being scientific, you're being unbiased, and you've written an intelligent manuscript, well written. And so I was very pleased with that. And I was trying to get him to write more than 2 chapters in the book. I thought that he would probably know more about Wilbert Smith, the Canadian government's radio engineer, who also ran Project Second Story and Project Magnet. And Wilbert Smith had been a friend of Admiral Herbert Knowles. And I wanted to mention this in Captured because Admiral Knowles, after his retirement from the Navy, had been on NICAP's board of directors and had invited Betty and Barney to have brunch at his house in Elliott, Maine. Well, Betty and Barney were pretty apprehensive about going over to meet Admiral Knowles because they thought they would be met with criticism. But they went anyway, and what they discovered is that many of the people who were there had had their own UFO experiences, that Admiral Knowles knew it was true, and that Admiral Knowles had been a friend of Wilbert Smith. Wilbert Smith died in 1962, but his widow, Merle, continued to go down to the Admiral Knowles' house with members of the Canadian military. And members of the American military and Canadian military would meet and discuss UFOs. And so I wanted Stanton to write that chapter, to do the research, all that he could, and at least write part of it. But he said, "You're doing a fine job, right on." So I had to continue writing, and in the end, he wrote 2 chapters, and I wrote 23. But he did more than that. He vetted my work for accuracy. He was pleased with what I was doing. He's the one who had the literary agent, and I didn't. We used his literary agent. He was the one who had the connections to get Dr. Bruce Maccabee, the optical physicist, to write the preface in Captured, and to get Linda Moulton Howe to read the book and vet my work too, and Bruce Maccabee had done that as well. And for Linda to write a promotional statement on the cover of the book. So Stanton really helped me a great deal. And I don't know if that book would ever have been published if it wasn't for his effort. So I was very grateful to him. And then we started working together. Sometimes we gave presentations on the Hill case together at the podium. And we did radio shows together. And I became a very, very good friend of Stanton's, and he was a very good friend of mine. We were very close. I felt that I could say anything to him, and he'd give me an honest opinion, and he wouldn't be judgmental.
Right.
And in addition to that, he had an incredible sense of humor. He had a dry sense of humor that kept me in hysterics just when, I wasn't even expecting it. So that was the beginning of our work together.
I do have to ask, Kathleen, in regards to his work, and I have seen pictures of his files. As you know, Grant Cameron has been going through the Stanton files, or calls them the Friedman files, and there's been a lot of historic value inside of those files. And when you go through everything that he had done, he was never an experiencer. He'd never seen anything like this. What kept him going? What kept him motivated if he was never an experiencer himself?
I think it was the archival research and what he had found about military policy, the changes in American military policy that went from being a little open about it, although it was classified secret, to really bringing the lid down after the Robertson panel, the CIA-funded Robertson panel, met in January of 1953. So I think it was the intrigue that was involved in even meeting some of the people who were involved in this and interviewing them. And he said that they treated him with respect, that they didn't laugh at him or scoff at him, but some of these great scientists and military men treated him well. And but he was also very interested in those who were interested in covering all of this information up. He was the one who talked about the cosmic Watergate with regard to the cover-up, and all of his knowledge on that, and MJ-12. It was intriguing. I mean, when you start doing that kind of research and you find some really exciting information, you have to keep going. You have to find the answers. I've done the same kind of archival research. I'm not exclusively an abduction researcher. I'm fascinated by the history of government involvement. And that was part of the fascination that Stanton and I shared. he loved teaching me everything that he knew, and we loved going to those archival collections and having some good finds of some really juicy material. So I think that kept him going. I was with him, we were doing a radio show in upstate New Hampshire, and we went out to a desolate area at night with a film crew, and we were just going to be talking about Betty and Barney. But then the film crew said to us, "Look behind you." And we did. And there behind us, a little bit up in the air, were lights that were moving in a very erratic manner. I had never seen lights like that, and Stanton hadn't either. Because there were so many of them for me, I'd seen UFOs before, but not a group of them moving like that. And Stanton said, "Well, I'm not going to say they're UFOs." And then we're expecting to do our interview, but the film crew decided to pack everything up and get out of there as fast as possible. So they certainly thought they were. And there were other people who had sightings that night. We were all staying at the Indian Head Resort in Lincoln, New Hampshire. And there was a lot of excitement about this. Stanton asked Pete Jeremiah, who was the director of the Mutual UFO Network in New Hampshire at that time, to do some looking to see if he could find a prosaic explanation for it. And Pete said that he did find that there was a military group in Vermont that night who might have been dropping flares. So Stanton was perfectly happy with the flare explanation. But I was working with that film crew, and we went down to Washington, D.C. to interview Colonel Ben Sweat, who had known Betty and Barney and had retired from the Pentagon. And Ben Sweat looked at the film, and he said, "Those don't look like flares to me. If they are flares at all, they're photo flares." And so I think that had said a lot about Stanton's kind of skepticism, or maybe he just didn't want to admit that he might have had a UFO sighting. Certainly they were unidentified, but he wasn't going to say they were a flying saucer.
Kathleen, we have about 4.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. With Stanton, what was his thoughts over the last 2 years previous to his death, or 18 months, with all of the UFO flap going on in the media and the To the Stars Academy? Was he impressed by it? Was he taking a wait-and-see approach?
Well, I think that he was pleased that the ATIP program was revealed. He was impressed with Lou Elizondo, and he was happy that some disclosure was taking place. But he wanted to remain reserved at the same time. He didn't want to get overly excited about this. Of course, he knew the history of the government's behavior in all of this. And so he was somewhat apprehensive. As I said earlier, he admired Robert Bigelow. He liked him. And Stanton had done contract work with Robert Bigelow as well. And so he had no problem there. Stanton was very left brain, though. He was very much a material scientist. And I have to tell you, when I talked to Stanton about the events at the Skinwalker Ranch and also the events at an airport that I had investigated in the southwestern part of the United States, it was a little too mind-blowing for him that there could be time slips, that there could be interdimensionals. Stanton felt very, very comfortable when he could hold something in his hands, when he could read a laboratory report, where he could collect physical evidence, such as the soil samples that he used to collect. And that made him feel very comfortable. But he was not comfortable with theoretical physics and with the idea that we might live in a multidimensional universe. He wasn't comfortable with Edgar Mitchell's theory, quantum holographic theory of the universe. So those were the kinds of things that Stanton didn't want to think about.
We only got about, let's say here, about 2 minutes. I want to ask you, how has your life and research changed since his passing this spring?
Well, my life has changed because I keep expecting to have an email message from Stanton. I keep expecting that phone call, and it just never comes, but I can go back and read the old messages, so that really helps. I miss him. I'm moving on. I'm moving on in new directions, and
Looks like we got a little bit of a system bug here right now. Let's try that. I don't know what is going on with our system tonight, but it doesn't seem to be working properly.
Can you not hear me?
Now we can.
Okay.
My one program here has crashed twice now during the show. God. And well, the good part about it is we're close to a break here. And when we come back, because we are on the air, I do see that we are on the air. When we come back, we're going to get into this really, really cool book that you just wrote, which is in regards to E.T. contact. Ooh, it always sounds so good when you say E.T. contact. Extraterrestrial contact, what to do when you've been abducted. Kathleen Marden is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. And Kathleen, I do have to say, even though we had a little snafu right at the end there with your story, what a beautiful tribute to your friend, Stanton Friedman. Beautiful tribute. And thank you for taking that last hour to share some very personal stories about him. We'll be right back on Spaced Out Radio, Hour 3, coming up with Kathleen Marden, then the SOR Newswire, and the Thought of the Dave.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you'd know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
A
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Hi to everyone listening in on KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, and down in Dangerfield, Texas, KDNF AM 1560. On the digital side, we're proud to broadcast on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Great to have you with us. Don't forget, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Yeah, I'm pretty bad at this one. Oboleski Kolichny. Yeah, I'm not even going to try that again, but the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, has a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot. You can do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, because you'd look really good in a Spaced Out Radio shirt. Of course, you could join the SOR Space Travelers Club. We'd love to add you for $5 a month. And pick out a new book at We Read the Night, along with reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire Daily. For the final time tonight, we introduce Kathleen Marden. She has a brand new book out called Extraterrestrial Contact: What to Do When You've Been Abducted. We're going to get to that in a moment. But last break, right before the break, she was telling this fantastic story that none of you got to hear because one of my radio programs here kind of went on the fritz tonight. And we're working on that as we speak. And Kathleen, you were actually visited by Stanton from the other side.
Had just gone to bed. I was wide awake. My husband was still getting ready to come to bed, and I felt a very strong tingling sensation, like an electrical tingling through my body. And I heard Stanton's voice say, "I'm sorry, Kathy." And I opened my eyes, and I saw a little orb up in the corner of my room. And I said, "Is that you?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Prove it to me. Let me smell your scent." And I got a little whiff of the odor of his clothing. And then I was so delighted that I just said, "Come give me a hug." And I felt just this little tiny bit of like soft touching on my forearms. And I have to tell you, it was a wonderful experience to know that he could come and say goodbye to me.
You know what's weird is right when you started that story, we ended up getting the basis of it, but right when you started that story again, my program quit on me. Again.
Uh-oh.
That was twice when you tried to tell the story. I don't know. I like when weird stuff like that happens. I'm not saying it's paranormal or anything like that, but I like it when weird stuff happens like that. But we got your story on the air about him coming to visit, which is the best part.
Yes, yeah, it was. I was so pleased. All of the pain went away, and I felt very happy.
Well, I'm glad that you got that healing message from him on the other side. That is very, very cool that you did. You have a brand new book out called Extraterrestrial Contact, What to Do When You've Been Abducted. Why did you feel the need to write this?
Well, as the Mutual UFO Network's Director of Experiencer Research, we receive up to 150 requests each month for assistance. People who are attempting to cope with the experiences they've had, people who are wondering how to determine whether or not their experiences are extraterrestrial, how to make it stop, suggestions on how to make it stop, what we know about it, just so many questions. And I thought that I would be doing all of these people a service by writing a manual to help people, to have all of the information that anyone needs, even if they want to go public, what to expect. And so I started writing a book. Initially, I planned to call it The Experiencer's Handbook, and I thought I'd self-publish and it would be very small. But in the end, it ended up being published by Red Wheel Weiser, which is a very large publisher. And they thought with millions of people around the world who are having contact experiences, it would be a good seller for them. So I had asked 3 members of my team, 3 brilliant women, to contribute their knowledge to, and Ann Castle, who is a former psychologist and a person who works in the IT field and who is also a psychic, wrote a couple of chapters in the book, and one was on coping, and another was on becoming psychic. Are you becoming psychic? We know that experiencers develop psychic abilities probably as a result of the experiences they've had. Also, Madeline Tobias, who spent her life as a psychiatric nurse and psychotherapist for veterans returning from the war with post-traumatic stress disorder, and also with people who have been involved in cults, wrote a very good chapter on how to cope with contact. And then Denise Stoner, who was my co-author on the alien abduction files and is an experiencer, is a specialist in the paranormal. And so she contributed to 2 chapters, one on angels, demons, and parasites, and one on when you discover that it may not be ET, ghosts and paranormal phenomena. So it's a pretty well-rounded book and just chock full of interesting information. I've even written a little bit about some of my own experiences that I've had over the years and my attitude toward them. So I think that anyone, whether they've had a contact experience or not, would be interested in this book.
The experiences you talk about in your book, are they all positive? Are they negative, some of them? Or do you give a full, vast array of what people are going through?
I give a full, vast array of what people are experiencing. Anything from the highly positive to the highly negative. I've given information on the airport events that I spoke about a little bit earlier that are very similar to what happened at the Skinwalker Ranch. I talk about some of my own cases with permission from the experiencers. So many things, from ET healing to the worst thing that can happen to someone when they believe that they're being abducted by negative entities. It's all there.
The experiences that people are having, are they mainly multiple experiencers, or are they people who have contact once and then wonder for the rest of their lives what happened to them?
Well, we found, according to the statistics on our study at the Mutual UFO Network, that only about a quarter have only one experience. About 75% have multiple experiences over their lifetime. We also found that it tends to be genetically carried, runs along family lines.
Okay. So with that, let's say I can admit I am a contactee, I'm an abductee. How do I know if the rest of my family has been taken?
Well, if they're willing to talk about it, you can ask. I mean, if you have children, you might be aware that they were taken with you because you saw them in the house as you were being taken to craft, or you saw them on the craft, or you had that terrible emotional reaction that parents have when their children are taken away from them by non-humans. It's not a pleasant experience, I can tell you. And our statistics show that the majority of experiencers are taken for the first time when they're less than 17. And about 40% believe they were under 5 when they had their first experience.
What would an extraterrestrial want with a child? The brains aren't developed, the bodies aren't developed, the maturity is not developed. Why take a child?
They teach them different things. They try to teach them to read symbols, try to teach them how to communicate telepathically, a number of different things. They might have also intervened somehow before they were born, maybe inserting a tiny fragment of themselves into these children of experiencers. And we find that the children of experiencers have the same characteristics as experiences, and that we all have the same characteristics as near-death experiencers as well. I've often speculated that perhaps the process of being moved through a solid surface where our molecular structure, our atomic structure, is energized and fragments, it comes apart, causes the human soul or consciousness to separate from the body on kind of a thin thread, just the way it happens when someone has a near-death experience. So perhaps that's what has happened to cause all of these things. people become more spiritual as well. So a lot of different characteristics that we all share.
Is there a story that you have heard either in this book, E.T. Contact, or elsewhere that has just really stuck with you that someone told you? I'm saying that outside of the popular stories like Calvin Parker or Travis Walton or even Uncle Barney and Auntie Betty.
Yes, absolutely. And I've talked to probably a couple of thousand of experiencers, but there are a couple that, more than a couple actually, but if I can count them on both hands, cases that really stand out, where there is a lot of evidence and where something unusual has happened, such as that case I talked about at the airport in the Southwest, where a man who had been a pilot, a commercial pilot for 30 years, opened up a small airport of his own. And he had no interest in UFOs, but he heard people outside the hangar one night. He had an apartment at the hangar that he and his wife were living in until they built a house. And so he went outside to investigate because he thought kids might be out there drinking and causing damage. And what it was is a group of people who were looking into the sky and pointing out UFOs. There were a couple of them there. And he had never seen anything like that in his entire life. He said an intense, bright, white light that was absolutely beautiful. And then he wanted to see more. So he started to think of different ways that he might be able to attract UFOs to come in so that he could see them. So he went up into his control tower and he did different things with lights and with lasers, and things started to come in. And he would fix his laser on them, and they didn't seem to like that. And then he decided that he wanted them to come in and land, and they could sit down and have a nice meeting together. He obviously knew nothing about the topic. And so they did start coming into land, and then they started taking him. And that was not a pleasant situation for him at all, and he couldn't make it stop. He had paranormal activity going on. He had time slips going on. He had demonic activity going on. There was a craft that hovered over the ground, and he and the men who were working for him went out. He reached up and touched the craft, and it discharged a yellow substance that sprayed all over him and the men who worked for him. They all went into the decontamination showers, but you know what? Men who worked for him never went back to work.
Okay.
His wife left him. There were, so many things happening in this story. It's just a fascinating story. Finally, he gave it all up and moved away.
We have about 4 minutes left with you tonight, Kathleen. And yeah, this show has flown right on by as I expected it to, unfortunately for us and especially the audience. With your new book and with everything that is happening in the world of ufology right now, where do you see things going? If you were to predict the future, where do you see things going in the next 6 to 12 months?
I think that we will continue to have more people come forward to speak privately with MUFON's experiencer research team, which they can do by going to MUFON.com, scrolling down to speak with a person on the ERT, and completing the 30-question questionnaire. That will go to Dr. George Medich, who, by the way, was a pro ball player before he became an orthopedic surgeon and is now assistant director of the ERT. He's a great guy. He's the one who makes the assignments to caring, compassionate people who are there to listen. So I think that is going to continue. I don't think it's going to slow down. And hopefully within the next year, the government will decide to give us more information, and we will be on our way to a little bit of disclosure. But I know that if there is public hysteria, the lid will clamp shut. We will be told it's all phenomena. There's nothing solid there. There are no structured craft, and no one is being taken, just as they have been saying for the past 70 years.
And for you? Any new books?
What does it hold? Well, I just started a new book, and I'm going to focus on my own contact experiences, my family's contact experiences, and my relationship with Stanton Friedman and the work that we did together. So it's sort of going to be a little autobiographical about my life and my work in this field.
Well, that is wonderful, and we're already getting requests in the chat rooms about when you can come back and chat with us again, because our audience in the chat rooms has had a lot of fun listening to you tonight. You were so informative, as per usual. You're one of the best out there, Kathleen.
Thank you.
And,
I
if
had
you could
a good role model. I'm sorry.
Yes, you did. If you could take the next 45 seconds or so and just detail where everybody can find your books, your information, your lectures, that'd be great.
Yeah, if just go to Kathleen-Marden, MARDEN.com. All of my upcoming appearances and lectures are there. You can purchase autographed books, including books with Stanton's signature there, or any of our books are available at Amazon or Barnes & Noble. They're professionally published, and they're available as e-books, audiobooks, and hardcover and softcover books. So a lot of different choices on how you can read our books.
That is just wonderful. Kathleen, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence on Spaced Out Radio tonight. I'm going to let you head off to bed now, because I know it's 2:30 in the morning almost for you.
Yes, my pleasure. It was great to be with you again.
And we will do it again soon.
I hope to. Yes, that sounds great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kathleen Martin, everybody. Once again, her website, Kathleen-Marden.com. If you want to check it out, highly suggest you do. I cannot wait for her to write that Stanton Friedman book. That's going to be amazing. Coming up next, if our system doesn't crash again, the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thieme. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a Space Traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Hey Spaced Out Radio fans, it's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you for joining us. Reminder to all of you that if you want to check out our archives, you can do so for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot. Read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, because it's updated daily. You can sign up for the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. Get a new book at We Read the Night, or do a little shopping at our SOR Vault. Speaking of the news, I say we get to it, shall we? Let's. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, and sometimes knowledgeable. The United States Army has confirmed that it has signed a cooperative research deal with the To the Stars Academy. Far better known for its activities investigating reports and sightings of UFOs, which are increasingly referred to as unidentified aerial phenomena, this new agreement covers research into metamaterials and other high-technology fields that border on the realm of science fiction. Yeah, TTSA announced the Cooperative Research and Development Agreement, otherwise known as CRADA, with Army's Combat Capabilities Development Command, CCDC. Oh, they're full of acronyms here. Which is now part of the service's Future Command. The Public Affairs Office at CCDC's Ground Vehicle System Center, otherwise known as GVSD or GVSC, situated at the Detroit Arsenal in Warren, Michigan, subsequently confirmed that CRADA exists and it will be representing and responsible for executing it. CRADAs are unlike typical contracts. No money exchanges hands at all between the Army and TTSA under this present agreement. So you know the TTSA shareholders are going to love that. Yeah, but there is also a no articulated deliverable, and if a product comes out of this process, meaning alien metamaterials, it will most likely be written in a study or another similar type of report. The ostensible goal is for Army researchers to work directly with individuals from TTSA in exploring various high-technology developments, sharing resources, and any results. TTSA's technology solutions, which leverage developments in material science, space-time metric engineering, quantum physics, beamed energy propulsion, and active camouflage, have the potential to enhance survivability and effectiveness of multiple Army systems, TTSA's own press release says. Now, you know old Davey's going to give you thoughts on this. So my question is, TTSA getting into the Black Ops game, is that what it was all about in the first place? Was it ever about aliens? Maybe that was the diversion. Think about that for a second. Maybe that was the diversion. Could be. Because the Army was never mentioned when it came to UFOs or UAPs. It was always the Navy and the Air Force. The Air Force denied it. The Navy said, yeah, we're looking into some stuff. Now they're dealing with the Army? Interesting. Stay tuned. This is getting very, very interesting. California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill last weekend making it legal to cook and eat roadkill. Senate Bill 395, the roadkill bill, which goes into effect in 2022, will allow people to salvage and eat animals they unintentionally hit or find on the road in the state. Those wanting to eat the roadkill would need to obtain a salvage permit in exchange for information about the animal, where and how it was killed, in an effort to eliminate waste of carcasses and to better understand how to make roads safer for drivers and animals. You can't make this stuff up. When you look at the statistics, the number of injuries and accidents and fatalities, it's about time, State Senator Bob Archuleta, a Democrat from Pico Rivera, said. If we could save one life, save one animal, I think we've done it right here, because, you can always save an animal when it's roadkill. University of California, Davis estimates 20,000 deer are killed on California roadways each year, but no department officially tracks the numbers. We desperately need systematic data reporting on vehicle collisions with wildlife in California, and Caltrans isn't going to do it unless directed by a statute. Under the law, if the animal is still alive by the Department of Fisheries and if the animal is still alive, the Department of Fish and Wildlife will decide whether or not to put it down. Opponents of the bill say it could lead to some drivers purposefully striking animals on the road. Well, of course it will. Eating roadkill is currently illegal under state law, and unlawful possession of wildlife could carry a $6,000 fine and 6 months in jail, although it is rarely cited. Hey, honey, there's a deer on the road. Let's wreck our car so that way we can have some wild game. Dumb. Scientists have recorded the speeds of the world's fastest ant. Yeah, it lives in the Sahara and is able to travel 108 times its own body length per second. Harold Wolff, a professor at the University of Ulm, Germany, and his colleagues found that the Saharan silver ant can reach speeds of 0.855 meters per second with its high-frequency strides. The team's findings, based on experiments conducted in Tunisia, will be published in the Journal of Experimental Biology. Wolff, who mainly researches navigation in ants, says, "We knew these animals would be fast, but nobody knew how fast exactly and how they would achieve the speed." He added that the speed surprised his research group, given that they have such short legs compared to their cousins, the desert ants. Although the reason behind their extraordinary speed is yet to be proved, Wolff thinks their shorter legs may be behind it. By the way of hypothesis, he says with their short legs, they can be better synchronized with 3 legs they have on the ground at any given time, so they can make very brief, powerful impacts on the sand. Their shallow impacts prevent them from sinking into the soft sand too much while they travel across the dunes to scavenge for dead insects like flies, butterflies, beetles to eat. This seems wise and a good strategy in the area where sand temperatures can reach 60 degrees Celsius or 140 degrees Fahrenheit. The ant's silver color also gives them some relief from the heat, as their shiny coats reflect sunlight and infrared, helping them stay relatively cool. Yeah, I want to know how much money they are wasting on this. Seriously. More of the same. More the same. We're paying thousands of dollars to find out the speed of ants. People are hungry. People need shelter. But by God, we're going to spend that grant money on racing ants. Think about that for a second. These are smart people doing this. Show me the importance of this. much like 90% of the math they teach in high school now. Terrible. I get upset with stuff like that, to be honest. I really do. We have some serious problems, and we are wasting money on seeing how fast ants travel in the Sahara Desert. Makes me shake my head. A massive influx of international tourists will arrive in Japan next July for the Tokyo Olympics. Most will be unaware another foreign visitor was specifically imported in preparation for their arrival. Yeah, Ebola. Yeah, you heard me right, Ebola. Strains of the infectious virus, along with 4 other dangerous pathogens, were brought into the country last month by the Japanese government so that scientists can study them and research possible countermeasures in the event of an outbreak sparked by the Tokyo 2020 tourist influx. In addition to Ebola, the Japanese Health Ministry's National Institute of Infectious Diseases has imported the pathogens responsible for 4 other kinds of viral hemorrhagic fever, including Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, South American fever, Marburg disease, and Lassa fever. All of these are highly dangerous viral agents that have not been introduced into Japan before and represent the first time that pathogens belonging to the most dangerous class of biological agent have been admitted into facilities. For the researchers who will study the viruses, it's an unprecedented chance to investigate pathogens that are necessarily very difficult to come by and demonstrate the capabilities of Japanese science. Yeah. Let's get some diseases. See, that's good study. Trying to keep people alive is good money spent. Ants racing across the desert? Yeah, no importance there whatsoever. Hamburg, Germany. Well, from his post as a teenage SS private in a watchtower in Nazi Germany's Stutthof concentration camp, Bruno Day could hear the screams of Jews dying in the gas chamber, and Day later told investigators the carting of their lifeless bodies to the camp's crematorium was a daily sight. More than 7 decades later, Day went on trial on 5,230 counts of accessory to murder in Hamburg State Court. Pushed into the courtroom in a wheelchair, accompanied by one of his daughters, the 93-year-old wore a wide-brimmed hat and held a red folder in front of his face to shield it from the cameras. After they had gone, he dropped the cover to reveal a full head of neatly combed white hair and a mustache. He answered basic questions from presiding judge Anne Meyer Gering, such as his date and place of birth. As prosecutor Lars Manke then detailed how Jews were gassed, shot, and starved to death as part of the systemic killing in the camp where he stood guard 75 years ago, he showed little expression but appeared to be listening attentively. While there is no evidence of Day's direct involvement in killing in Stutthof, prosecutors argue that as a camp guard from August 1944 to April 1945, he aided in all the killings that took place during that period as a small wheel in the machinery of murder. The accused was no ardent worshiper of Nazi ideology, prosecutors argue in the indictment, but there is also no doubt that he never actively challenged the persecutions of the Nazi regime. Day, a baker by training, does not deny being a guard at Stutthof. He gave wide-ranging statements to investigators about his service, saying that he was deemed unfit for combat in the regular army in 1944 at age 17, so was drafted into an SS guard detachment and sent to Stutthof, not far from his hometown near Danzig, which is today the Polish city of Gdansk. In deference to his age, trial sessions are being limited to 2 hours a day and are scheduled to be held only twice a week. Because Day was 17 when he started serving at Stutthof, he is being tried in juvenile court and faces a possible 6 months or to 10 years in prison if convicted. In Germany, there are no consecutive sentences. Like an old-time carnival show, the Paris Zoological Park's latest attraction promises a shocking mystery. Dubbed the Blob, the zoo is hoping to draw in the crowds by featuring a goo-like brainless creature with no mouth and hundreds of sexes, which displays an ability to survive, even thrive, when dissected. While it is indeed weird, don't get too excited. The Blob isn't something out of science fiction. It's actually a slime mold, or more specifically, an organism known as Physarum polycephalum. I can pronounce that, but can't get the password tonight. Sorry, Jeff. The Blob is a living being, which belongs to one of nature's mysteries. Director of the Paris Museum of Natural History, Bruno David, said, calling it a mysterious being might be overselling it a touch, but there is still a whole lot of scientists have yet to learn from watching the growth and movement of this biological oddball in recent years. A website is celebrating the upcoming release of Disney by offering a dream job. Opportunity for 5 fans to make $1,000 by watching 30 movies in 30 days. Reviews.org said the 5 selected applicants will receive $1,000 and a year's subscription to the new streaming service and a selection of Disney-related movies watching supplies, including a blanket, cups, and a Pixar popcorn popper. The grand that they will get each will be deposited directly into the winner's bank accounts. It's up to you if you keep them there or cash out the $1,000 in coins, then dive into them like a Scrooge McDuck, the website says. Applications, which are being accepted through November 7th, consist of answering a list of questions on the contest website and making a video review of a Disney movie. And finally, a Florida man who chronicled his rescue of a 9-foot-long alligator in a series of photos on his Instagram page says the animal will be used for educational purposes. Paul Bedard of Gator Boys Alligator Rescue was called to a Parkland home on Tuesday and found a gator swimming in a pool. The alligator weighed between 180 and 200 pounds. He was mellow when I caught him. I named him Cool Hand Luke because the gator was so mellow and so cool. He didn't try to get away from me. He didn't try to come after me. He was just really cool. He got a real mellow personality. Bedard added that he had not rescued an alligator of this size from a swimming pool in more than a year. Bedard, who says he's been working with alligators for about 30 years, says the husband of the woman who reported the alligator said he saw it walking across the street when he went to work, didn't think anything of it. Then about an hour later, the gator decided to walk through a screen and into the swimming pool, and the wife was not as accepting of the gator's presence as the husband was told to call the hotline for nuisance alligators. Well, it's a nice-looking gator. Guy's pretty strong, too. He's holding this 200-pound alligator over his head. It's kind of cool. Tough guy. Guess you got to be to wrestle gators. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air, because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. Which popular ET encounter or abduction is the most believable to you, and why? Gabe went with Travis Walton's abduction case because he just seems so genuine. He is. Got to hang out with him. Philip Mantle. Just read Calvin Parker's new book about Pascagoula. Oh, I'd like to. Charles. I agree with Calvin Parker's book. Michelle. Travis Walton's abduction. It was witnessed by several people, and their stories have never changed. Jay, when Atari abducted 5-year-old Jay's money with that E.T. video game. That's a good one. Russell, Cash Landrum and Falcon Lake due to authenticated radiation injuries. Mike, Chris Bledsoe, his continued contact and interest in UFO sightings with others include John Alexander really makes his story a game changer. Uncle Dale and his power stash, the 1994 Trumbull County, Ohio UFO encounter, because it involves officers from more than 10 police departments, and we have the tapes of the PD dispatchers. Jennifer believes Travis Walton. Lee, my own, but even that I tend to question from time to time. Eric Cooper, and his beard. Betty and Barney Hill case. She drew Zeta Reticuli before it was discovered. I also believe the Travis Walton case as well, and many others. Andrew, the Allagash Four, because they all can describe the same thing in deep hypnosis. Brent, Travis Walton, due to the intense police investigation, lie detection tests, missing time, and his long-going need to get his story out there. Also, Phil Schneider, because of the scars he received from his attack, not to mention his background, and then his death. Also, Whitley Strieber, which is also very detailed. Victor, Travis Walton, a man who will do anything for money, appearing on the TV game show The Moment of Truth in the hope of winning $500,000, putting his name into Gary Hiseltine's forthcoming spoof RFI documentary called Capel Green. What else we got here? Kevin, 1975 Warren, Ohio encounter that was witnessed by over 100 persons, including fire department chief, many police officers, sheriff deputies, dozens of factory workers on their lunch hour, and myself and a friend who were camping in my backyard. We all watched that craft hover for several minutes silently above us. It then slowly and smoothly accelerated into a straight line easterly until it was at a high rate of speed. The craft then made an instantaneous 90-degree turn to the north. It traveled the distance equal to the length it traveled to the east. Then it made an instantaneous turn 90 degrees to the east. That sounds like a good one, Kev. Thank you for sharing that one. We want to say thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Dave today. We'll do it again tomorrow on Facebook and Twitter. And we also say thank you to Captain Shirk for getting all of our news ready for the SOR Newswire tonight. Don't forget, you can find all of our news at spacedoutradio.com. And a big shout out to Kathleen Marden for coming on the show, entertaining us, especially about those great Stanton Friedman stories. They were best friends, best friends. So thank you, Kathleen. Her website, kathleen-marden.com. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking it in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, in the chat rooms, in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, Spreaker, Revolution Radio, and on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio, and of course everybody on LGAB. Thank you so much for tuning us in. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. I want to say a big thank you to all of you for tuning us in, sharing your evening with us, because together, my friends, stay with me. We're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. John and Stacey Edwards, talking all things paranormal. We're gearing up for Halloween. Good night.